What is up, guys, and welcome to the Heroic Mode Fallen Protectors Raid Guide. As always, if you want to see any of the normal mode abilities, go ahead and check out the normal mode guide. I will not be covering the normal mode abilities. I will just be going over the differences between normal and heroic and how our group dealt with the different mechanics that we faced. The really nice thing about heroic Fallen Protectors, guys, is there's not a whole lot different from normal mode. It's a typical heroic where everything hits harder and your berserk timer tends to be a little bit more on the stringent side. The easiest way to handle this fight, guys, is to make sure that what you're doing is that you're trying to keep them in cleave range as much as humanly possible while you're cleaving off the target that you're trying to get down first. So in our case, we took down Rook, then he, then Soon. That's how we did it in heroic. So what you want to do, obviously, is get Rook down to 66%, get through his special ability, get Softfoot down to 66%, deal with his special ability, then get Soon down to 66%, deal with his special ability. And then you rinse and repeat at 33%, and then you kill them all at the same time. That still remains true to normal. Now, what are the main things that will kill you from normal to heroic? Corrupted Brew. There's pools that will spawn underneath people's feet. You need to make sure that you are watching out for Corrupted Brew. This hurts really bad if you get hit by it. The problem with this fight on heroic is it's not normally one mechanic that kills you. It's a combination of mechanics. So what you need to do is you need to understand that the damage is just multiplied in heroic, and you will die if you get hit to stupid more than once or twice. So what you really need to focus on is watching your feet in this first phase. There's really nothing else for you to watch out for. Obviously, Rook's being tanked faced away so you don't get in the frontal cleave. And then what you're going to be doing is watching out for Corrupted Brew, and then making sure when Calamity's coming up that you're popping a personal cooldown. If you have one that's off the GCD, it's even better. But what you want to do is try to mitigate that Calamity damage as much as possible, especially when you get before you get Softfoot into his push phase, the second guy, that Garrote that comes out. The more people that have that guy, it just ticks for a ton. It is a big time healing concern. So this is the reason that you want the cleave damage. Again, the reason that you want to go push them as close as you can and then phase, finish phase, phase, finish phase, phase, finish phase, is because you want to get them reset as quickly as possible. And the Garrote is the biggest thing. It will literally just destroy your raid, especially when Calamity comes out. As Calamity gets further into the fight, you may need to start cycling raid cooldowns through these, especially if you're just before a Softfoot and Rage, or a Softfoot special ability. A Softfoot's about to hit 66 or 33%. Make sure that you are, cycling some cooldowns so that you don't lose people, because that's the biggest way to lose people, especially going into that phase when Mark of Anguish goes out. If that person who gets Mark of Anguish first is not topped off, they will pretty much just fall right over, and you really need everybody in this fight. The DPS, especially if your cleaving isn't as bad of a or as stringent as a timer, but you do need to understand that it does become an issue if you're taking your time. So what your real goal is here is with the special abilities. Obviously, Rooks doesn't really change. You still burn down all the ads. They do share a health pool, so multi-dotting them up does triple the damage. Now, it is nice to focus one. The only thing that you need to understand during this phase is that Flame Strike ability. Just have whoever gets it run into melee. If range gets it, just get into melee. Make sure that you're close enough to where if you are chosen, you can jump right in there and then have melee soak it. If your Death Knights have AMZs, this is also really nice for this as well, to make sure that you're just mitigating as much of that damage as possible. If you have a barrier, whatever you want to do, because that's when that explodes, you will have quite a bit of raid damage. And again, watching your feet, make sure you're not standing in poison, make sure you're not standing in Corrupted Brew. All these things combined is what will kill you. These things by themselves probably will not. As long as you have 7 people, 8 people, and 25 man to soak that, or in 10 man, as long as you're jumping into the melee with the tank and they're soaking that Flame Strike, you should be okay. But you need to make sure, if you have a cooldown to kind of alleviate some of the healer stress, please use it, guys. It is important during this phase. For the Softfoot, for the Mark of Anguish will pretty much 3-shot anybody. So as soon as you get it, you need to have a plan. So what we did in our group is we had the mages in a set rotation, and then we had the rogues after them. So what would happen is whoever got it would pass it to X-Rogue or X-Mage. Mage would then ice block. He would sit in his ice block, and as soon as his ice block was about to expire, he'd start spamming his extra action button on the next person in the line. So on and so forth. You go right down the list until the ad is killed. Once the ad's killed, you don't need to worry about it anymore. So that's the best way to do it. At least that's what we found. Rogues are very, very good at this. Obviously, hunters with deterrence can do this. You know, Ice Block for mages is really overpowered for this. It will really, really make this ability a lot easier. And obviously, burning that anguish down as quick as humanly possible is key in this phase. It's just it's so important to get those marks of anguish off, because once you run through your cycle, people will start dying. So that ad needs to go down. As far as soon, again, you're pretty much just burning your ads. The problem with the new soon phase is there will be poison that spawns underneath you. There will be corrupted brew that spawns underneath you. So you really need to cycle your personal cooldowns pretty much off cooldown. If you see your health really drop low, make sure you pop in a health stone. Watch your debuffs. If you're standing in poison, get out of it, because again, guys, in this fight, it's all about the compounding multipliers of damage. This is how you will wipe. This is how you will die, is compounding this damage. Also, the less damage you compound and take, the more mana your healers will have throughout the fight, and that's the most important thing, is keeping their mana high and keeping their heals hitting and keeping them ahead. You do not want them to get behind in heals, especially as you get into the 33% phase and then that final burn phase. Obviously, once everybody's at 33%, you're just slamming into them as hard as you can, and it's pretty much GG at that point. You just want to make sure they all die at the same time. But if you can do those things, guys, you know, control Mark of Anguish, stack in melee with Flame Strike, don't stand in poison, and then cleave off the targets and try to cycle them as quickly as possible, you can kill this fight in Heroic. Hope you guys like this one, and as always, see you in the next one.